Here is the next video. This time we were talking about so-called dynamic arrays. So you actually worked before with dynamic arrays, for example, with the text split function. So all the time when you select a range, or for example, the output is in more than one cell, like with the text split function. But with dynamic arrays, you can do much more, especially if you know how to mix dynamic arrays with specific formulas and other type of stuff. What are the advantages? You need fewer formula entries, your calculation will be faster, and you have the possibilities for other solutions, and you have less errors resulting out to your selection. So if you don't select all things, then you could possibly have errors, and with dynamic arrays, these errors are reduced. So, for example, here you can calculate row by row. You need to enter only one formula, and the dynamic array is then highlighted here around in blue. And you can also create an dynamic array with address, double point address, so with the general referencing. You can select a dynamic array if you select the first entry of a dynamic array and then put an hashtag in. So here, this is the result of this row by row multiplication. And if you want to sum this up, you need to type in equal sign sum formula, then select the first cell of the dynamic array, and then put an hashtag in, and all those numbers will be summed up. And also the addressing rules are applicable for those type of things. So, and what is the advantage? If you extend this array, for example, make this with a new row, the row by row multiplication, then your sum formula don't need to be updated. It will update automatically and add also the last value. And you could also do this in one formula, of course. You can also create dynamic arrays with the this curly brackets here. So here in vertical array is curly brackets and the values are separated with semicolons, and horizontal array are curly brackets and the values are separated with commas. And there are specific array formulas, and these formulas either have an output in an array, or they used to handle arrays. And with these formulas, you can create a lot more new type of stuff. So here we are. Here, if we want to multiply those values row by row, then type here, select the first range here, and then the second range, and you see it's multiplied row by row. For example, 19 times 20 is 380. And if you want to sum those values up, you type in, you select the first cell here, and then type in a hashtag, and you see the whole dynamic array is highlighted. And you can also see here this light blue border. This is also an indication for a dynamic array. You can also sum the values up row by row, for example, if you want to do this. Why you should do this, I don't know, but so on. So, and they are special, as I've told you, they are special formulas that either outputs a dynamic array or used to work with dynamic arrays. For example, the sequence function. The sequence function is very cool because with this function, you can list numbers as an array. So for example, the numbers from 1 to 10. Or for example, the numbers from 0 to 5% in half percent increments, and each in a separate row or so on. And yeah, we will show this in an instance. And also if you have seen my challenge videos, then you will possibly know that. But I use the sequence function most often when I need to split a word into individual letters, and then you use this function where the sequence function is a main part of. Here, I'll show you the sequence function here. So here, for example, the sequence function, 10 rows, 10 rows and 2 columns, 10 rows and 2 columns, and let only be ones in, and so on. You can play with this formula around if you want. Then there's also the unique function. Unique is, as the number will tell you, is there to list the unique values of an array. For example, unique of column A, it will hand out the unique values from column A. The previous way was the so-called remove duplicate way. So you go to data and then to data tools and click on this icon here. But the problem is that way wasn't dynamic, but unique is dynamic. Then there's the filter function. The filter function is one very, very important function, but a lot of people don't know this function. So with filter, you can filter ranges or arrays based on criteria, and the output will be an array. So here you can filter, for example, the values in column A if the values from column B are positive. Or you can do this also with multiple criteria. I'll link a cheat sheet I use for multiple criteria filtering in the work in the description. So do we have an example here? Oh yeah. So first unique. Here are multiple values. For example, the 10 is multiple times here. And then you can filter, you have only here the unique values and filter. You can filter here, for example, the values that are larger than 5. And you will only get the results that are larger than 5. And you see, this is dynamic. So here the pro tip, filter and end, filter with or, filter with XOR. But here I will link them, the cheat sheet in the video description. So with transpose, you can transpose an array. So transposing is swapping columns and rows. Nothing so special. I did this in school in math class. So here, if you want to transpose this array here, for example, you can do this also with dynamic arrays. Oh yeah, we have a problem here because it's too long. Yeah, but here you see rows and columns are swapped. They're swapped. Yeah, useful sometimes. Then there's the VSTACK function. The VSTACK function is used when you want to add arrays vertically. So several arrays should become one array. So here we stack those values and those values here, for example, and so on. HSTACK is used for horizontally stacking. So if you want to have one array out of different arrays and want to stack them horizontally. TOROW, if you have a multiple row matrix and you want to have it in one row, you can use the TOROW function. So here you can see that is only one row. TOCOL is also possible. TOCOL is also possible here, but also useful is the optional argument scan by column. So if you want to have first the column here and then the column there, then you can use the optional arguments with TOROW and also with TOCOL. So first this column, then that column. With CHOOSEROWS, you can select rows from an array. So for example, if you have one array with multiple rows and want to select only row 1 and 4, you can do that. Or you can also use the CHOOSEROWS function and sequence in combination. CHOOSECOLS is also possible. So if you want to select multiple, if you have an array with multiple columns and want to select only one column out of it. So here are a few examples there. For example, VSTACK, and those ones you have it as a single array. HSTACK, those ones you will see you have an error there because there are some missing parts, but with if error you can, for example, erase those errors. So then we have also TOROW. Will this work here? TOROW, if you want to have this array in a single row, you can do this with TOROW. You can also do this with TOCOL, but I don't have the space here. You can use CHOOSEROWS to select, for example, row 3 out of this array. You could also do this with CHOOSEROWS. And here we will use CHOOSEROWS in sequence here. 10 rows from row 20 on. So is this 31? Yeah, it is. So with this array sequence, 10 rows from row 20 on, and you see these rows were selected. So next will be an exercise doing dynamic arrays. I will link this exercise in the video description, and the next video will be then the solution for this exercise. See you.